All right. Hey there, guys. Dubs Rider here. And I've gotten a few questions on what exactly the highway pegs on my bike are and where I've gotten them, and kind of give you some backstory on it. If you own a Honda CTX1300, one of my biggest recommendations is to head on over to the CTX1300 forums.com. And again, that's www.ctx1300forums.com. There's a gentleman on there that made some custom brackets that would allow for the highway pegs to go on there. And I would just suggest going on the website, searching for highway pegs. He's got a few YouTube videos himself. And I know that he's got a couple different variations. This is one of the earlier variations of the models that he has, and I think he has a little bit more options for finishes now. But basically what you'll notice here is, and I'll bring the camera in a little closer, right here it's just a bracket. And so what I'll flip the camera on here. Right here is just a bracket. And on this bracket, it mounts underneath this plastic cover here. And then it just gives you kind of a mounting point for not only a foot peg, but if you wanted to, in the front here, there's holes to mount the fog lights, which I've never put the fog lights on here. I think the headlight's probably bright enough for me anyway, but the fog lights do give you some extra throw from a lower perspective. And then I just picked these up at a local motorcycle shop here. They're just Kiriakin brand foot pegs, and they just mount on the back side of this with a bolt that kind of goes in. And so what I'll do next is I'll move the camera here and I'll let you guys see kind of how this mounts up. So as you can see here, it's just a square bracket that kind of comes off of here. On the back side there's a bolt that comes into this foot peg and holds it on there, and I just got the ones that fold up. You can get them that go straight, however you want to work it. I preferred the ones that kind of fold up when I'm storing it, but there's a couple different Kiriakin brands, and they're pretty universal as far as how they bolt on there. But I find that they're somewhat useful, at least for myself in the riding position. I was looking for something to kind of get my feet out. On a longer ride, you'll notice that, to me anyway, the riding position on this bike does get a little bit cramped because you have such short pegs, and so where your feet fall, there's not a whole lot of room to move those around and get a lot more comfortable on the motorcycle. And so kind of having these out there allows you to kind of kick your legs out and get your feet on the motorcycle or off of the pegs. Having these kind of lets your feet get out of that standard position and kind of kicks you out a little bit. Now, one of the things that I did notice, and anybody that's looking to install this on their CTX should probably be aware, is that you might want something that's a little bit longer, that comes out of the bike a little bit wider. What I found is if I zoom out here and kind of pan up, you'll see that this portion right here on the side, the engine head cover there, basically makes it so that your feet kind of have to go out and around a little bit. And so if you decide to go with a peg like this, make sure that you get one that comes out a little bit further. With my riding boots on, I found that most of the time my feet fell somewhere in here, which didn't give me a whole lot of room to get a good, comfortable fall on this peg. I felt that I was kind of bowing my legs in a little bit and kicking my heels out to get my front part of my foot on this peg. So I would suggest maybe getting a little bit longer foot pegs to come off of that bracket, or maybe buy yourself a spacer to kind of move those pegs off a little bit more. And what you would do with a spacer is you just get one with the same bolt pattern and put it in between on this side of the plate, and it would just kind of move this out maybe another couple inches, and I think you'd find a lot more comfort in these. And it's just not something I've gone through and done yet, but that is something that I would highly recommend if you're looking into getting a pair of these. So what we'll do now is I'm going to kind of take you through the process of uninstalling one of these, and I think maybe through that you'll have the ability to get an idea of how the install will go. And as we're going backwards, I'll kind of explain some of the things that you'll need to look for when you're installing one of these on your motorcycle. So I'll get the camera moved around here, and we'll get this we'll get the uninstall video going on these, so you can kind of see how this all breaks down. So be right back. All right, so what we're going to do now is work on getting this piece, this main plastic piece here, off of the motorcycle. And that's what's going to give you access to the bolt locations that you need to kind of mount this bracket on there. And it's not a real difficult install. It probably took me maybe an hour or so to kind of make sure I had everything right and take my time with it. Basically, what happens is there are two bolts underneath here that you'll see right where both of my fingers are, right here, that are metric 6 bolts. You're going to back those out of there, which for video's sake, I've just backed those out of there already. And then there is one more bolt that you're going to want to undo, and I'll have to reposition the camera here for you to see where exactly that bolt is. But you get those 3 bolts out of there, and it'll allow you to kind of pull this plastic piece off of the motorcycle. Alright, so now I've repositioned you around the front of the motorcycle, and you'll see that there's a bolt right down here. And you're going to go in and loosen this bolt as well. If I can get a good, hard to get in there with the camera in here. Now, you don't have to back this bolt all the way out. You just need to loosen this bolt. So that bolt does not necessarily have to come all the way out, because then it just pops down. It kind of goes into a, you'll see down there, if I can zoom in here. Kind of goes into a bracket right here. So you don't have to take this bolt completely out. Just keep that in mind. It just kind of sits in a bracket back here, and when you go to install it, you push that in. So now with those 3 bolts out of there, what we're going to do is just kind of work this out of the motorcycle here. And there's just 2 clips, and I'll reposition the camera here so you can kind of get a better look at them. But there's 2 clips right here, and that's what kind of holds the top of that in. There's one clip back here that it kind of, a rubber clip that it goes into. And what that does is now it allows you access to the front side of the motorcycle here, so that now we can get in on the mounting location for this bolt, which happens to be right there. So next I'll bring you back and I'll show you that. It's a little bit. All right, so as you can see here, it's just this one bolt that's holding this on, and I'm gonna back this off, but this is what you'll do on the install. And I believe this is a T8 that we're using. I know it's got a little extension on there to allow me to back this bolt off of here. And this whole bracket will come out of there. And as you see, it's as easy as that to uninstall it. It's just as simple to reinstall it. What you're going to do is put this bolt back in there. If you're not going to have them on the motorcycle, but obviously you'd take that bolt out and put your bracket in between there and put the bolt in there, and you are good to go. Now, there's one other trick that I'll show you here that you'll need to do upon the install, and that has to do with the plastic piece that kind of sits here, goes over covers up the radiator here on the bike. All right, so next we're going to talk about just a little bit of bike prep that you'll have to do in order to get this part installed. And really, this is just the plastic piece here that kind of goes on the motorcycle. On the back side of this, kind of facing towards the rider, it'll be the back side of this, right behind these two back mounting bolts. This part down here this comes all the way out and around and kind of covers out there. And in order to get the bracket in there and have it sit correctly, you're going to have to cut this back just a little bit. And all I did was take a pair of tin snips, kind of cut in, cut straight down, and pulled this plastic piece out. And that gave me the clearance I needed to get this to slide back in on top of that bracket and have your highway pegs installed. So overall, guys, like I said, it gives you a little bit different riding position. You might have to do some work with what exactly the pegs that you'll need to install on there, or what exactly you want to do from a riding position. But it does give you quite a few options as far as where you can put your feet, and it's a super simple install. You can head on over there to the forums. I'll even put a link to his email. He's given me the go-ahead to just kind of put a link to his email. If you want to shoot him an email and see what options he's got. Now I think he does maybe have a chrome option at various different costs and stuff, and he does have a full install video on it. But as you can see, it's not real difficult to do. You take out the 3 bolts, you remove the plastic piece, take out the one big bolt, put it back in with the bracket, install your foot peg, and you are off and running. Really, you know, with a decent install video, you can have both sides done probably in less than an hour with a few basic tools. So overall, it's something that I would definitely recommend for anybody that's doing longer trips on here. You're going to want to definitely make sure that you get some sort of different position for your feet to get a little bit more comfortable on the bike for those longer rides. So that's all I got for you today. Hope that gives you kind of a look. I know there's been a few questions on it, so hope that gives you kind of a look at the install as well as my thoughts around the highway pegs for the Honda CTX1300. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.